stage, Mr. Andy Saunders! Oh, wow, the Opera House. Look at this place. Oh my God. You'd have been able to fit another extra 50 seats if you didn't make the stage so deep. But anyway, no one here, but that's all right. We've got you at home. That's the main thing. And there's so many screening tests just coming into this place. It was ridiculous. The cavity search was very uncomfortable, but oh, you're saying it wasn't one of your employees. Okay, well, I'll just chalk that up to experience. Anyway, I am Aboriginal. I have to tell you people out there, I'm an Australian Indigenous, ageing rapidly man, and I have been for a very long time now. So don't be alarmed. This is actual blackface. It's real blackface, so you don't need to adjust your monitors or your TV sets or anything like that. Look, you're going to be seeing a lot of Aboriginal humour here tonight or today or whenever you listen to this, so that confirms that this is not Channel 10 production. I have to also say that when I first found out I was Aboriginal, I was like, what am I going to do with this power? I'm Black man. Mum was like, no, that's Batman, honey. He works with the police. You're going to attract them. I didn't know what she meant back then, but now I do. It's been a great journey, though. You know, this country has served us well, Aboriginal people. I mean, we've come a long way since the time we owned the entire country and all of its contents. But, you know, we are moving forward, we are progressing. And, you know, I talk a big game about being Aboriginal, but the fact is that I'm very, very, very precious. I am happily assimilated. I mean, if you guys were ever going to leave, I'd want you to leave a couple of iPads and some Wi-Fi at least, just so I could sort of occupy myself. I couldn't have survived back in Aboriginal tribal days. I'm too precious, hey. I would have been the first guy culled or speared or shunted out of the tribe. I would have been that guy around the campfire, you know, eating the kangaroo. He's sort of eating the meat, you know, and just going, is there any salad? No? Okay, no worries. You know, I'm very, very precious. I would have been that guy on the banks, you know, been along when the first boats came, and I would have been like, thank God, shoes, my feet are killing me. So, yeah, I'm very, very precious. I can't even go camping, hey. Like my favourite 2 words are 5-star. When people say, do you want to go camping, Andy? I'm just like, oh, I hate cabins. They're like, no, not that type of camping. But it's been great. You know, I hate when people from overseas say Australia is racist. Australia's not racist. They're just really forgetful. So what I also want to tell you guys out there is that, you know, I'm a father of 4 and a husband of 1, thank God. I've got 4 kids, 4 beautiful kids. And I got this, you know, this is, you know, the coronavirus has made my kids very happy. And look, that's no disrespect to the people out there who've been affected by COVID-19. My heart goes out to you and my thoughts are with you. But the amount of time my kids have taken off school because of COVID-19 has put huge smiles on their dials. My kid, my little 10-year-old, he hates school so much. And it's been hard for us parents to homeschool our kids, you know. Like, I can't teach them that stuff at home what I didn't bother to learn at school. So I just get fed up and say, no, stuff it, let's go surfing. They can't read, but man, they can surf, hey. But, you know, like... my kid hates school, my little 10-year-old. He hates school so much. He hates it so much, hey. To the point where we argue. I argue with him constantly. You've got to go to school to be smarter. And he's like, I'm already smart enough, Dad. You're 10. You're not smart enough. What about your friends? I got heaps of friends at school. What about your teachers? I love my teachers. And what is it? I hate school. He hates school, hates it with a passion. And then I have to bring the big guns out. My wife, she has to leave the room. She's like, stuff this. You take it, Andy, which is silly because she chose the dumb one. Anyway, I have to get down to his level. And this is what a good dad does. Good parent, all right? You get down to his level. I'm like, honey, if you don't go to school, Mum and Dad will have to go to jail. You know what he says? Well, how long do you have to go to jail for? He's willing to do the trade. Sly little bugger, eh? Things have changed since I was his age. You know what Tinder was when I was his age? It was how New Zealanders liked their meat. Is steak so tender, bro? There's a lot to talk about with COVID, But before COVID, we had the bushfires where I come from. And the smoke just absolutely engulfed our community for at least 2 months. So we couldn't even breathe properly. It gave everyone instant asthma. It's just terrible. But I have to say the smoke made me very nostalgic because it reminded me of the inside of my car when I was a teenager. Oh, there's a big difference though. That smoke back then made you really hungry. But times have changed, That was my youth. Everyone's young. And I was a bad kid. I was the worst kid ever. I thought all the adults around me had a speech impediment because I used to talk to me. Get the hell outside, Andrew. What are you doing inside? I went to school talking like that. I was like, Mr. Smith, can I go to the toilet, please? He thought I was aggressive. I was just being normal. Worst kid ever. Mum used to say, oh, you'd put the devil to shame, Andy. And I think about all that stuff I'd done way back then, and I reckon he'd be real proud of me. Matter of fact, if me and the devil were friends, I reckon he would have had to have broken the friendship off when I was younger. It would have been like,
Listen, Andy, this is kind of hard to say. But Mom said we can't be friends no more. She reckons you're a bad influence on me.
don't be scared. It's just me, Uncle Andy. I like doing voices. And sorry to all the American viewers out there for doing the devil's voice in an American accent. It just sounds normal that way. But I do like voices. You know what voice I do like? I like the movie guy, the promotional movie guy. You know that guy?
One man in a fight, a struggle, a fight to survive.
I love that guy. But he could never have like a normal job. He's pretty much mapped out his future with a voice like that, hasn't he? He couldn't be, I don't know, a gynecologist. Could you imagine him as a gynecologist? Creepy. Be like,
Mrs. Jones, come in. I've been expecting you.
creepy. Yeah, stay the movie guy, dude. Stay the movie guy. I've also got a human wife. I love my human wife. She's a great lady. I call her my little self-help guru because all of our conversations are about improving me as a person. They're like little modules that I keep failing. But she's great. I love her. I love her so much. Hey, we've been together 30 years this year. We were talking, I thought it was 28, but I'm a human man. So it is 30 years this year, and it's been a great 30 years. We're so different, hey, and this is how I know we're very different. She buys soap to just put on display, and I wash myself with it. And she's always going on about, who used this display soap? I didn't know you could actually buy display soap. Anyway, I do now. And she reminds me of that daily. So I haven't used display soap since. It was nice though, I will admit. But we've been together 30 years this year and I love her so much. So much so that I wrote a song about her, yes. And I tried to write a song about relationships in general. Okay, I tried to write these lyrics to get into the psyche of relationships, and so that everyone out there who's in a relationship will relate to these lyrics. And for those of you who aren't in a relationship, who are just about to embark on that wonderful journey with that special someone or animal, you will relate to these lyrics as well. This took me ages to write these lyrics. So, and please bear with, there's a tiny bit of beatboxing in this, so please bear with. This is a song about relationships. I mentioned I was Aboriginal before, didn't I? Yep, that's right. Not Indian. Here we go. Song about relationships. Yes. 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 Yes, 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 yes. I heard you the first time, honey. Yeah, she loves that song. I'm writing another one called No, I Haven't Got to That Yet. She's gonna love it! I love that lady. I don't just do silly sounds or, tell dumb jokes about my family, my wife, I'm worried about the world too, ladies and gentlemen. I really am. I'm worried about the world. Everyone's going through this whole COVID thing. It's amazing when COVID was announced, and we were put into all of these restrictions. I remember quite clearly when the government said, everyone's going to be monitored, you're going to have permission to leave your homes just to go shopping. Some of you may feel like you're going to be treated like a criminal when you obviously aren't. I remember a few of my white mates were like, this is going to be tough. And black people went, hey, this sounds vaguely familiar. Anyway, look, don't be alarmed. It shouldn't last too much longer. So enjoy it while you can. As for black people, it's COVID feels for life, I'm afraid. But I'm worried about America too. I'm worried about what's happening over there. Not just the current stuff, but maybe things down the track. What if we have Trump for another 4 years? I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm just saying he's a bad person. And I don't want to say too much about that, but I wouldn't like to see him be the leader of the most powerful country in the world for too much longer. It's like watching a toddler drive a school bus. It's just everyone's going to be affected eventually. It's just like, it's just they just don't know what the hell to do. But I'm worried about Australia. And not for obvious reasons, not not because of racism, because racism's getting heaps better in Australia. People are getting heaps better at being racist. My main concern is Australia's inability to appropriately name cyclones. They're shit at it. Yep. This is why people are losing their lives and towns are being destroyed, because nobody is scared of Cyclone Pam. Pam's my mum's name. She's a sweet lady. If Cyclone Pam was coming, my kids were on the front lawn, Dad, Cyclone Pam's coming, I'd be like, that's all right, stay on the front lawn, she won't hurt you. And what other name did we name as Cyclone? Cyclone Nathan. No offence to the Nathans out there, but there's no way in the past, present or future I'm scared of Nathan.
Hello, I'm Nathan. Pretty windy outside, isn't it?
Yeah, piss off, Nathan. No, we need to name these cyclones something people are going to be scared shitless of, like Cyclone Schwarzenegger, huh? You hear that thing coming from ages away, be like, you are fired. Cyclone Trump, well, no one would be scared, but no one wants to be there when the dickhead comes. It's too annoying. I got a cousin named Shakwaniqua. She's aggressive as hell. She'll bitch slap you in the middle of next week as fast as look at you. She does all this sort of stuff. Like, what do you do that for, Shakwaniqua? Like, you're an Australian Aboriginal female. What happened to fuck off? That's heaps more effective. Could you imagine Cyclone Shakwaniqua?
Bitch, I'm coming through and wrecking shit. You better move.
I love that. That should be an Olympic sport. That should. You'd call it the Dis-Olympics. Could you imagine the Dis-Olympics? Huh? Imagine the commentators.
And Shakwaniqua gets up to the plate. She's doing an 11.3 degree of difficulty. 3 clicks, a head wobble, and a phrasing. And she mounts up. Good form. And she pulls it off, and the crowd go absolutely crazy. Let's see that in slow motion.
I know you didn't talk to me like that.
I'd watch the Olympics, ladies and gentlemen. I'd watch them. You've been a great audience. I think you have. I'd love to hear you clapping from your lounge rooms or your offices at home. But we've got another treat coming up on stage. Please, put your hands together loud enough so I can hear Mr. Shawnee Choolburra!
Hey! Oh, yeah. How you all going out there? Good? Good to see you. It's good to be here. You know, I always believed when I was growing up I was like a gifted genius, like borderline genius. You know, ever since I was like 2 years old, I was like a translator for my brother. My brother was 3, I was 2. He was like 1 year older than me. You do the math. And he couldn't talk properly. And now we have someone like this in all our families. You know, he couldn't talk, and when he'd talk like this. He speaks good now. But, you know, growing up, that's how he talked. And I was his translator. And when you hang out with someone who talks like that, you kind of get the gist of what they're saying. And I remember one time we walked into our local fish and chip shop. And when we walked in there, the local fish and chip shop said, "Hey, lollipop." You know, and that was my brother's nickname. Now, long story short, his real name is Noel, and everyone would call him Nolly. And I couldn't say the N-word because of political correctness reasons. That's right. And it became Lolly, and then it became Lollipop. Anyway, so we walked in the fish and chip shop, and they say, "Hey, Lollipop, what do you want?" My brother go, and they'd look at me and go, "What did he say?" And I said, "He said he want fish and chip." And they go, "Wow, you're like a genius." I said, "Like borderline genius, yeah." I said, "Go figure what else you can order at a fish and chip shop." And I remember one time we were at school and we all studied the war, didn't we? First, World War I, World War II, etc. And I remember our teacher saying to us, during the war, they used to use a special communication code named after a very special man by the name of John Morse. Hence, they called it Morse code. And I remember the teacher having the old reel, because it was the 70s, and she put the reel on, and she said, to this day, no one can decode Morse code. No one actually understands it. And I said, well, just play it. And she said, I will. I said, well, hurry up. And she played it. And when she played Morse code, I said, they want fish and chips, yeah? Bam, I cracked the code. Borderline genius, yeah? Have you ever noticed the British speak Cockney? Have you ever noticed that? They speak Cockney. If they speak Cockney, does that mean the Americans speak arsney? That's right. I mean, the amount of crap that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, I can't talk too much about Donald Trump. You know what I mean? I'm paid to tell Donald Trump jokes. You know what I mean? I realized when he was elected, I said, 2 people are going to benefit from Donald Trump. And that was comedians, and the other one was Ku Klux Klan members, yeah? And, which is kind of funny because all Trump supporters, they're saying, no, we're not going to wear no mask. And I was like, man, it didn't affect you before wearing your hoods and all that kind of stuff, yeah? And why should it matter now? Yeah, nah. But you know what? You got to understand where racism stems from. It stems from a jealousy of someone. Like if you see someone with beautiful hair, you can all of a sudden hate their hair. You see someone of good color, and that's why Donald Trump, he spray tanned himself. And I don't care. He spray tanned himself, look all orange and look all good. He's like a person of color now. That's right, yeah? And he's racist towards himself. And I thought, well, it's kind of funny because Donald Trump spray tanned himself all orange, because what we don't realize, or what we do realize, is that orange is the new black. So stay orange, Donald Trump. That's right. Next time we see Donald Trump, he's going to be leading a rally with Orange Lives Matter. Yeah, with him and Australian counterpart, Pauline Hanson. That's right, yeah? And speaking of statues and the removal of statues, to save our sacred sites here in Australia, I reckon we just need to put a whole bunch of Captain Cook statues there, yeah? That way, no mining companies will blow it up. That's right, yeah. And I thought, hey, back in the day, a black man's weapon would be a spear and a boomerang and a shield. Today, the black man's weapon is a mobile phone, so we can record whatever goes on and the injustices and all that. And speaking of Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter, why don't we just be like the rugby team in New Zealand and say all blacks lives matter? That's right, yeah. How about that, yeah? I'm the most optimistic person you'll ever come across. I'm very positive, I ran into one of my old uncles and I said, hey, uncle, how you going? He said, I'm not too good. I said, what's wrong? He said, well, I got testicular cancer, and there's nothing I could say about, that's, positive about this, you know what I mean? And my uncle, he goes, yeah. I go, well, what's the prognosis, What's the doctor want to do? He said, he wants to cut them all off. And I was like, what? Cut it off? He goes, yeah. And I could see my uncle feeling demeaning, he felt less of a man because, doctor is going to castrate him, yeah? So I thought, man, I need to, bring my uncle and make him feel better. And I said, don't worry, uncle, just think on the bright side. Now, you guys right now, you're probably thinking, how could there be a bright side? Your uncle got testicular cancer and he's going to be castrated. And I said, just remember, when they castrate you, you could be on a long flight to Europe. You could be comfortably sitting in between 2 people, and you could just comfortably sit there for 37 hours without any problem, yeah? And my uncle started feeling good. And I said, imagine you're in a street fight, and someone kicks you right there. You're not going to even feel it. And my uncle started feeling good. He's like, man, I could see in his eyes, he's like, man, I wish someone, I could have a fight right now, yeah? And I said, uncle, you just remember, you stand tall and strong like that coconut tree. Just remember, you just got no coconuts. Kapow! And that was it. My uncle, he felt so good after that, yeah? I left him out. And now, I was watching this thing on social media the other day, and I seen these white people do this crazy thing. And I never seen it in all my life. Well, actually, I did see it before, but I thought it was some sort of prank or some sort of TikTok thing. Who has kids who have, TikTok Tourette syndrome? You know what I mean? The kids, you could be walking around with them, and then all of a sudden, bam, there's stuff. And hey, calm down, what the hell? Are you right? And they go, this is a TikTok dance, yeah? All right, it's just called Orange Justice. I go, well, that must be named after Donald Trump, yeah? But all lives matter, Orange Lives Matter. But anyway, let's get back to it. Now, I thought, that I saw this thing, and what I saw was these white people painting their face black. And I was like, my God, is this some sort of sick joke? I mean, like, we're in the new century. I mean, that thing came out centuries ago. You know, painting your face black. And I thought, man, I was angry. Not because of obvious reason, is because the reason why I was angry is because I was actually looking at creating my own social media network. That's right. My own social media network was going to be called Blak Facebook. That's right, yeah? That's right. I was going to call it Blak Facebook, and it was going to be great. I was going to go to New Zealand too and open up a chapter there, and this was going to be called All Blacks Facebook, all that kind of stuff, yeah? And I thought, man, on my Blak Facebook, you know, you won't have any friends. You just have cousins and, you know, and don't make me uncousin you, you know? And I thought, man, that would be a way to see my new social media network called Blak Facebook. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's my time. I'm Shorty Choolburra. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Woo! And right now, I am joined back on stage with my comedian good friend and my brother here, Mr. Andy Saunders. Woo!
Oh, Sean, how did you like that, my friend? What type of experience was that for you?
Well, it was kind of rusty, you know. I needed like some WD-40, you know. That's what I feel, you know. I think, during this coronavirus and all the lockdown and not performing, and then all of a sudden,
we get the Opera House. I mean, cameras, but it's good to be in front of professional cameras instead of security cameras, isn't it?
It is.
It's nice. It's a good change.
It's overwhelming. I mean, any camera is overwhelming, but this thing is everywhere you look, there's a camera, you know.
Yeah. But you know what? This is quite consistent with some of the gigs I've done. No people in the audience and just a stage crew.
I've lived that dream, yeah. Like one of my worst gigs. Well, probably wasn't my worst gig, but I think for a whole 3 weeks, I had 2 people in the audience.
Really?
Well, actually, one time I did a gig at Parramatta, and it was a comedy festival, and there was only 2 people there. And those 2 people were the 2 people that I brought with me.
So they were comps?
They were the 2 comps that you're allocated. As every performance allocated, 2 complimentary tickets. They were the people.
You know there's a pandemic when you don't get complimentaries like that was today.
That was, I tried to get my family in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, can I get like 2? And they go, 2? I go, 22 tickets, please, for my family, my children, and so on. But yeah.
I'm glad with the COVID, though, because it's kept me at home. It really has, like, I'm not glad with the fallout. It's obviously devastating, and it's, my heart goes out to anyone who's been affected by it. But it's actually kept me at home, and I've been able to spend time with the family and get to know the kids a little bit more. And that person I call my wife, we've been spending a lot of time together, having a couple of teas and coffees and breakfasts and lunch. It's been great. If I knew before that all it was going to take was a world pandemic to get me at home, I would have tried it ages ago. Man,
and you know what the biggest killer is, besides coronavirus, COVID-19, is homeschooling. Man, I was no good at homeschooling. And I said to the wife, man, aren't you glad the kids are going back to school when they were like starting to open up the schools again? Yeah. And she goes, like you did and helped them with their schoolwork. I said, well, I mowed the lawn. Yeah. That makes me the janitor. You know, I'm the groundsman.
The hardest thing at home was just sort of like doing prom or the formal. That was really, really hard.
Who did the prom?
Well, we had to at home.
Did ya?
Well, if you're going to homeschool, you've got to go all the way.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
My goodness. I was telling my daughter, who's in grade 12, that because she's going to be like no school this year, she's going to be the first person ever in the history be in grade 13.
Wow.
And she believed me for like 3 months.
Oh, sucked in. You'd played a prank on her.
Yeah.
Sucked in.
Grade 13. I'm like, who's ever been in grade 13?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, unlucky for some.
Look, my son, like I was saying, my son hates school so much. There's nothing about school. It's just I think we've made our home so livable. It's crazy. Like, he's got everything at home. Why wouldn't a kid want to stay at home where you've got your own Wi-Fi, Xbox, Y-box, Z-box, everything you need, right?
Yep.
and go to school where you have to learn something off a random. You know, it's just, I mean, school's great. Don't get me wrong, okay, school's great. Education's key.
We're sponsored by the schools, by the way.
Yeah, it's awesome. And school's great. Education's great, man. It's good to talk better and stuff and read heaps good books and stuff. But, you know, he really dislikes it. You know, when we had the fires, right?
Yep.
This is what he said. He got 2 weeks off school because of smoke and, you know, there were obvious threats and stuff like that. He sat me and his mother down and he was like, so, Dad, because of the fires, we've got 2 weeks off school. I said, yeah, of course. You can hardly see. The visibility was horrendous. He goes, and because of the smoke, right? I said, yes. You know what he said?
What?
So if there's more fires, will we get more time off school? How evil. So we've hidden all the matches and lighters at home now. So, you know, I just don't trust him. He would do
Little
anything
arsonist.
to get a day off school. Isn't it funny what we have to do to get a day off school back in the day?
I don't even remember getting a day off school.
Yeah.
I remember one time getting a red texter and putting dots all over my belly and told
Yeah.
my mum I had the measles
Yep.
or chicken pox.
Yeah.
It was the most boring day of my life.
Now you sneeze, you get 2 weeks off and Netflix.
You get all of that.
You get everything. Man, I had to gaffer tape my arm back on pretty much because I was supposed to go to school. She said, no, you're right. Just because it's bent back the other way, you can still go to school.
I remember walking to school. We walked 5 kilometers to
Really?
school. Barefoot. There was
Yep.
no shoes back then.
Yeah. And we're not saying we're tougher than the kids these days. We're just saying we're heaps tougher. That's all.
And the kids want to wear shoes that have Nike 270 on it.
I know.
And they cost $270.
Is that all? Man, you're lucky.
What happened to good old sandals that Jesus
Tell
wore?
me about it, man. That's what I always say. Jesus must have been black. You know why I say that?
Why?
Well, he thought he was related to everyone. You know, he called
Jesus. And there
he thought he had all these children, my children.
My children.
He wore heaps of open-toed shoes. You know, we like having our feet breathe. And he tried to feed everyone with bread, fill them all up with bread. Could you imagine if he was a black fella? Could you imagine cousins on his doorstep saying, "Oi, Jesus, bruz, it's Tamika's 21st, eh? Would you be able to just wash your hands in these 2 buckets of water?" I don't know.
So how was the isolation?
Isolation was
keeping you-
good. It was a bit, you know, I don't think it's something you get used to. And I'm pretty sure people down the lens would agree.
I felt kind of isolated.
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing, you know, I told an uncle about all of the stipulations on being isolated. And he goes, oh, yeah, righto, so just normal? I was like, well, I guess so.
And you know, I noticed another thing. I think it's that all Aboriginal people especially, when it came about the social distancing, man, we've always been social distance from the social community.
Yes, but it is
the get-go,
changing.
it is changing.
It's changing.
It's
The
changing.
Black Lives Matter. You know what? If this that has happened and is happening is not a catalyst for change, then it's all for none. Okay, we need to make positive change in the world from all of this negative stuff, and it sort of makes me sad that we have to look at the negative things to make change. Why can't we look at the positive things to make change, like the year 12 kid who finishes, 12th grade through struggle and a rough home life, and he or she manages to finish. That's a change. That's going to change an entire family, kids, and so on and so forth. You know,
That's
things
a
like
statue.
that.
Yeah, that's a statue right there.
That's a statue.
Yeah, put that up.
Little Ray boy. Who's that fella? Oh no, lad that finished year 12. He grew up on Devon and bread. No one knows what
He has
Devon
no
is out there.
racial history
Yeah,
behind his statue.
None.
He's just Ray who finished grade 12.
Ray, who finished grade 12. He
was an honest kid.
Yep, he's
Pushed the trolleys at
He's not
Woolworths.
too pigment enhanced, but he's not pigment challenged as well. He's like, I know, he's just like a nice
In between white and black.
Yeah.
He's now bronze.
Al bronze. Yeah, that's nice. We'll coin that. We'll coin that. That's a good term. Good term.
Browns.
Yeah, the Browns.
Yeah, bronze.
And how did your kids go in the isolation?
You know what? I became, over the whole isolation experience, a TikTok phenomenon.
I've seen it.
I don't know what it is. I just became like this TikTok and dancer. I was learning all these new dances, Orange Justice, the floss, the hype.
Wow.
I was doing all these dances, and I was out dancing my kids, and we were having like hundreds of thousands of people viewing. And what's the word? Viral. No, that's a description of Pauline Hanson, but viral.
You went viral.
We went viral.
You went viral in a time that's viral.
Yeah, and we worked out that 1.5 meters is technically the length of a didgeridoo.
Wow.
You know, and that was like one of our
Yeah, but you're
TikToking.
blowing air down the ditch.
That's true. Well, we put a mask on the end.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
I didn't, but anyway, I just thought of it just now because we're on camera, but it sounds good, yeah.
So listen, we've got literally 30 seconds left. We're going to have to wrap it up. We need to say goodbye to everyone out there. Thanks for viewing.
Yeah, thank you to the Opera House, because,
thank you to the Opera
we've been
House.
4 months out of a gig, and then, usually we might get like the library or the RSL or something minute
or a cousin's 18th.
we get this,
We get this, an empty Opera House.
We get the Opera House. I mean, like,
fantastic.
yeah, the viewers don't know it's empty, but anyway.
And Victoria, stay strong as well. I know all your suburbs are closed. It's amazing.
That's a dirty word right now.
Well, Victoria is.
Yeah, you could say F words.
It's crazy.
And S words and every type of word there is and C words, but Victoria.
Yeah, the V word's bad. It's crazy to be living in a world where,
My 2-year-old kicked their toe and said, Victoria! And I said, watch your mouth!
But it is crazy that we're living in a
Sanitize.
world and a time where it's safer to wear a mask than a condom. Anyway, you've been a great audience. Ladies and gentlemen out there, stay safe, stay connected, well as connected as you can, and
We
stay
love you.
healthy. We
Yeah.
love you all.
Thank you.